Hello, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're good. Hope you're okay. Welcome to Lawyers Info Hub. It's always a pleasure to create content on this platform. So today we are looking at criminal responsibility. Yes, criminal responsibility. Now, for one to be criminally responsible or answerable, we're looking at the liability in personal form and beyond personal form. Now, a personal liability cannot be transferred. Looking at what will make a person to be held criminally liability for an offense, for a crime. Now, criminal liability can also be strict or it can be vicarious. It is vicarious when someone else's action, you know, uh, makes another to be liable. Where someone is held liable for the action of another. That's what we call vicarious liability, where an employer is held vicariously liable for actions done by the employee. Now, we have strict liability, which strict liability offenses are usually the regulations like NAFDAC, traffic offenses, environmental laws. For example, if a pharmacist, dispenses a drug without doctor's prescription to a person, and the pharmacy ought to know or foresee that what if this drug gets to the wrong hand, so the pharmacy can be held strictly liable for that drug dispensation that happened because there's a duty on the pharmacist to ensure that you don't dispense drugs, for example, without doctor's prescription. Because what if the drugs get into the wrong hand? Now, a company can also be criminally responsible for the action. This is what we call the corporate criminal liability. Where is the legal responsibility of a corporation, to be held liable for criminal actions. Um, you can also, you understand the fact that a company acts through humans, can only act through human beings, in as much as it has its own personal, distinct juristic nature. So we have what we call the elements of criminal responsibility. In criminal law, there are broadly two elements of criminal responsibility, where we look at the actus reus and the mens rea. Now, for a person to be convicted of an offense, these two elements must play out in terms of actus reus and mens rea. Now, actus reus is the what? The guilty act or the outward conduct. You know, a wrongful act which comprises of physical components of the offense charged. Someone is accused of stealing. There has to be the physical converting of something that does not belong to that person. Then you can say, okay, this person is actually guilty of the stealing. You know, Mens rea is, on the other hand, is the mental element of a crime, the intent, the intention. An act on its own cannot make someone guilty unless the mind is also legally guilty. So there should be an actus reus and the mens rea. There should be a coexistence, concurrence of these two elements. The intention to commit an act and the physical consequence of that act. See, most offenses also require proof, knowledge, and foresight before an accused person can be what? Convicted. Now, there are the crucial concepts in criminal liability. The crucial concepts in criminal liability. We've talked about the two broad elements of criminal liability of actus reus and mens rea. Now we're looking at the crucial concepts under criminal liability, criminal responsibility. There are concepts. One called causation. Causation it plays a crucial part in liability in crimes. Causation is the actus reus. Is that inquiry to ascertain whether the a person's conduct or omission caused the harm? Is it because of this person's action that this thing happened? Just like in a murder case, you have to prove that it was the accused, you know, that caused the death of the what deceased. So causation is a crucial concept in criminal what responsibility. Now, causation could be proved either factually or legally. We have the factual causation, we have the legal causation. So factual causation is established by, but for this particular act, this would not have happened. If the accused did not do this, this wouldn't have what happened. There is a liability responsibility on the accused, and in arriving a judgment, it falls on that judge to decide whether from relevant factual issues before him, the prosecution is able to prove the guilt of the accused. Now, in causation, the chain of causation must not be broken. This is very key for people who have interest in criminal law or who end up, doing lots of criminal cases. This is key. The causation chain must not what should not be broken. Once there's a break in the chain of causation, then doubt sets in. So it must never what be broken. Once the chain of causation is broken, it is to the benefit of the accused. Well, for instance, where someone maybe was stabbed and they took the person to the hospital and they said there's need for you to transfuse blood, and the person is saying, my religion forbids blood transfusion. Now, an argument can come up to the fact that if this person had taken blood transfusion, he wouldn't have died. Although what led to even that is the stabbing. So someone can argue that there was a break in the chain of causation. So other person can say, no, it was the stab, and it was the operative cause of it. This is just an instance. So in analyzing your cases, was the chain of causation broken? Another crucial concept in criminal responsibility is motive. What is the ulterior intent of the person who is committed that act? So it's important. So a lot of people have argued that motive is irrelevant in liability, but the ulterior motive also looks at the mens rea. It's also very key. Now, although absence of motive does not mean lack of responsibility, the fact that the person did not have motive to kill does not make the person to be exculpated from the liabilities. If it's not a bother, it can move to manslaughter. Yes. So another crucial concept of criminal responsibility is what we call the intention. The intention. We have the direct intention, we have the oblique intention. Direct intention, when the accused has real intention to cause crime, to cause harm. We have the oblique intention, when the accused does not have any aim to commit an offense, but the approach was what rash or reckless. You can say he has an oblique what intention, even though it was not a direct intention. We have recklessness as another crucial concept under criminal responsibility. It looks at the state of the mind that is devoid of intention, of intention. This person may not have the intention to kill, but he was reckless. Recklessness is different from what negligence. Recklessness, rashness, unjustified risks. So you can look at recklessness in two concepts. The Cunningham recklessness, which was derived from the case of Arrow against Cunningham, is a CA cases. Court of Appeal, yes, is a 1957 case. So you can look at it as a Cunningham recklessness. This is where the court looks at whether the person foresaw the harm that might occur and still continued regardless of the risk. Someone saw that this reckless driving might cause an accident, But he said, well, he still went on with the reckless driving and see, there was an accident. So that's the Cunningham recklessness. Did the person foresee the cause or what might happen out of his recklessness? You know there's a risk. You know there's a risk, but you still went ahead. For example, under our Nigerian laws, someone has HIV and knew the risks, potential harm, and still went ahead to infect another. We have what we call the Cardwell recklessness. It's derived from the case of R against Cardwell. This is the AC cases, 1982. This Cardwell recklessness extended the Cunningham recklessness to the person's state of mind. What was the person's state of mind at the time of commission of that crime? Looking at, was there an intention or was the person just reckless? Now, another crucial concept under criminal responsibility is negligence. Blameworthy inadvertence, committed by professionals who owe a duty of care. This is where we now look at the issue of duty of care. What is the duty of a care of a health professional, a doctor, a nurse, to foresee the consequence of an action, to foresee the consequence of an improper treatment, to foresee the action of incorrect drug or indiscriminate dispensation of controlled substances. Did he foresee that something might go wrong by his act? The duty an engineer holds, the duty a builder holds to ensure that the right quantity of the materials are used to avoid building collapse. So this is where, that duty is what is straight. There was a duty of care owed by this professional to ensure that what ought to be done was done. Now we have another very crucial concept called omission to act. This is where someone fails to act. Willful neglect. The law has imposed a duty on you and you failed to do what generally you have the right to do. Failure to act when you were supposed to act. The law has given you power to act, but you refuse to act. Now, omission to act, it can be criminalized the following circumstances. Where a statute creates a duty to act. Here, this person, the duty is not a moral or social duty, but a legal duty to perform civic responsibility. For example, compulsory treatment of people with gunshots. You have a legal duty to attend to the person without going to request for police reports, this one, that one, Where there is a contract that creates a legal duty to act. You might enter into a contract that has created a legal duty for you to act. A gatesman who has a contract in a school not to, to be efficient in his duties and not to allow students just have access to the gate without identifying them, know who sent them, where they're going, and he leaves the gate open for the student to cross and have accidents. Where there's a contract that creates a legal duty, in such instance, when the person fails to act, this person is criminalized. When there is a special relationship between parties which creates a legal duty to act, relationship between a father, wife, son, obligation to protect your children, obligations, to provide medical care, shelter, between employer and employee. It's a special relationship between the party, but it creates a legal duty to act. Where there's a voluntary assumption of duty. Voluntary assumption of duty. When a person assists another to create a dangerous situation for himself, there's a duty to act. There's a duty to act. So in these instances, The omissions can be criminalized under omission to act. So I've stated instances where, you know, there is a duty to act, whether by way of statute, by way of contract, by way of special relationship, you know, by way of voluntary assumption of duty. One must know when to act. When you're under an obligation to act and you fail to act, there is the liability. So criminal responsibility is a very broad topic. It opens your eyes to understand what and what is expected when someone has been adjudged to have committed a crime. What am I to look out for? It opens your mind to look at what's the intention, what is the what is the causation. Look at the motive, look at negligence, look at recklessness. We looked at the two broad areas of actus reus and mens rea. We looked at the various liability. We have the straight liability, we have the vicarious liability, we have the criminal corporate liability. So I just hope this summary in a few minutes I'll be able to just expose your mind to what criminal responsibility is all about. If you have any question under this topic, please drop them on the comment section and we'll respond to them. If you're here to subscribe to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. Join this wonderful family. We have great content on this platform that will be of great use to you in your practice to help you become a better student, help you become a better advocate, a better lawyer in whatever area you find yourself. Thank you for always listening. For those who watch the video, thank you. For those who stumble later, I appreciate you. For our returning subscribers, we are really proud of you. Thank you for always supporting the cause of Lawyers Info Hub. I remain your host, Mercy. It's a pleasure to always talk to you on this channel. Thank you for always supporting, checking the channel, dropping the comments, reviewing, sending your criticisms. We really, really appreciate. Thank you. And do know that you can be the best version of yourself. So take care.